like to call the meeting to order, please. Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Yep. Jeevers.
Present.
Hamilton. Oh, sorry. Galvez. God, I had the wrong names here.
We'll get used
All
to it.
right, let me get done here. Okay. Mandel. Here. Manzari.
Here.
And Stevens.
Here.
All right, and have we been adequately noticed?
Yes, we were adequately noticed on January 10th, 2020, to the Times and the Princeton Packet.
Excellent. Could you please all rise for the salute to the flag? Okay, since we have no ceremonial matters, it's time for public comment. Hey, do you have anyone signed up?
I didn't, but I'll recheck again.
Okay. If anybody would like to speak?
Otherwise, it's at the end of the meeting, so just so they know.
No? Okay. Administration comments.
Okay, I just wanted to let council know and the public that the mayor is out of the country, away on business. That's why he's not here at this evening's meeting. I'm able to contact him should council need to contact him as well. They should feel free to email him. He is available.
Thank you.
I do have a couple of announcements. The first is that municipal offices will be closed Monday, January 20th, in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Regular trash collection will occur that day. The Department of Public Works is collecting Christmas trees curbside until Monday, January 27th. Please remember to remove all lights, ornaments, and tinsels so that the crews can collect the trees. Public Works has completed yard waste collection for the season. Yard waste can be dropped off at the Department of Public Works Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., or Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon. There will be the West Windsor Township Health Department is offering a free rabies clinic. That clinic will be held at the Princeton Junction Firehouse, 245 Clarksville Road in West Windsor. The date of the clinic is January 18th, 2020, 10 a.m. to noon. All pets must be on a leash or in a carrier. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact the Township Health Department at 609-936-8400. And the last announcement I have, it's a bit early, but it'll creep up sooner than you know. West Windsor Senior Center will be offering free income tax assistance. Personal assistance will be provided to help taxpayers complete their federal and New Jersey state tax returns. This program is available at the Senior Center, 271 Clarksville Road in West Windsor. Individuals will be available Tuesday mornings from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. starting February 4th through April 14th, 2020. If you're going to avail yourself of this service, please remember to bring copies of your previous year's federal and state income tax returns, the documentation that you filed in 2018, as well as tax forms that you receive in the mail from Social Security, your employer, pension banks and brokerage houses, summary of medical expenses, charitable contributions, and any information you have pertaining to mortgage and real estate taxes. Appointments are required and can be scheduled by calling the Senior Center at 609-799-9068. That's all I have.
Thank you, Marlena. Council comments. Can we start with Linda, please?
Yeah, the service that Ms. Schmidt just mentioned, I can personally
personally say that it's a very good service. I've had some relatives use the service, and they're very detailed, oriented, and any questions that you have, they go through it with you, and it's free. So just keep that in mind. It's a great service. West Windsor Arts Center is holding its third annual Martin Luther King Day of Service, and this is in collaboration with the West Windsor Human Relations Council and the African American Parent Support Group. Last year, I think they had at least 300 people come to this event. It's quite nice. I was there for a short period of time. They have projects including packing food for weekend food kits for local children, packaging healthy bedtime kits for RISE Community Services. They need donations of pajamas, toothbrushes, toothpaste, books, things like that are needed if you have any extra things like that or any brand new things that you could donate. They create hats and scarves for veterans, and they make get well cards for children that are in the hospital. So if you're not doing anything, it's a great event. Stop by, help out, and I guarantee you'll have some fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Sonia?
Thank you. Just to add to what Linda said, I think it's a great day of community service, and Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, if you require to do community service to get your patches, there's a community event right here. I know my kids are going to be there trying to get their patches in. And the rabies clinic, I believe, the health department is open that day if you have to get the rabies, vaccinations to your pets and then go get the license renewed because you require that. Is that true this year as well?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
The Department of Health usually stays open the day of rabies clinic in the town.
I believe that's
for
correct.
license renewal purposes.
Yes, and if I'm not mistaken, they may have the ability to do it remotely from the firehouse.
Oh, that's wonderful.
They
So
may,
you don't have
I'm
to-
not positive.
That would be great, because in the past, I know I have to drive to the Department of Health.
I'm not making any promises, but it may be possible.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thanks. Andrea?
Well, everybody must have loved the West Windsor Arts Council today, because that's what I was going to talk about. I was there last year. It's a great volunteer effort. You can get, it's from 10 to 1, but they are going to have a lot of people, so if you go on Eventbrite, you can find it. Just look up MLK or something local for this area on the 18th, and pick an hour and then come on in. They're looking for shelf-stable, small packages for things like putting them in backpacks, but I also want to remind you, they do have a little food pantry outside, so if you happen to have larger shelf-stable items, they can take food for that also. Thanks.
Thank you. Mike?
Well, one of the advantages of going last is that everyone has already said what I was going to say as well, which was about the Martin Luther King Day of Giving. And I've never attended it in the past, but I'm looking forward to doing it for the first time on
Great.
Monday, so
Good, thank you. Gay, do you have anything? All righty. Consent agenda, we have several resolutions.
Okay, 2020 R026, approving the appointment of Tumar as alternate 2 member to fill the vacancy on the Board of Recreation Commissioners with the term to expire on December 31st, 2020. 2020 R027, approving the appointment of Mr. Mixon as a member to fill the unexpired term on the Shade Tree Commission to expire on December 31st, 2020. 2020 R035, approving the appointment of Mr. Garzo as alternate 1 member on the Zoning Board of Adjustment with a term to expire on December 31st, 2021. And 2020 R036, approving the appointment of Mr. Frinkin to fill the unexpired term of alternate 2 member on the Zoning Board of Adjustment with a term to expire on December 31st, 2020. Bills and claims.
Great. Does anybody want anything pulled? All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
second.
Gawas?
Yes.
Jevers?
Yes.
Mandel?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes. All right.
Ready? Okay. Recommendations from Administration and Council and Clerk. 2020-R028, authorizing the budget transfer to provide for the transfer of funds within the 2019 municipal budget. I need a two-thirds majority vote for this one, and we'll do it separate from the rest.
Should we do that right now? and then-
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second.
Gawaz?
Yes.
Jevers?
Yes.
Mandel?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Okay. 2020-R029, approving an amendment to the West Windsor Township Professional Firefighters Association Local 3610 of the International Association of Firefighters IAFF contract. 2020-R030, authorizing the business administrator to purchase voice over IP telephone system from CDW Government under New Jersey contract M7000-87720 for $86,240. 2020-R031, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional services agreement with ACT Engineering Incorporated for miscellaneous engineering services for 2020 for $3,000. 2020-R032, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional services agreement with Van Cleef Engineering Associates for miscellaneous engineering services for 2020 for $3,000. 2020-R033, authorizing the business administrator to execute change order number 1 for an increase of 3.75 for final quantities adjustments for the 2019 sidewalk repair program with MNC Concrete, $3,605.49. 2020-R034, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute the redevelopers agreement with VCC Princeton Junction LLC, ZB 1805, Block 12.04, Lot 18, was the Old Sun Bank on Princeton Heights Town Road. And that's it for resolutions.
Okay. Does anyone want to pull anything for discussion? Seeing none, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second.
Gawaz?
Yes.
Jevers?
Yes.
Mandel?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes. Okay. I just need to take a quick 5-minute break. Production of ordinances.
2020-01, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 82 fees, Section 22 waterworks at West Windsor Community Pool of the Code of West Windsor Township.
All right. We have, I know, Linda, you had some, couple of quick questions on that?
Yes, I guess in our packet it would be page 101, or else it's section 9 of the ordinance, because it mentions there will be an additional $75 fee charged to each of the above family membership categories, and an additional $50 fee added to each individual and senior membership. Family is defined as a separate category. The new part, the one parent, one child, should we be adding that to say, and an additional $50 fee added to each individual, add one parent, one child, and senior membership? So that new category of one parent, one child.
Would have the same late fee as the individual or the
Or
senior.
the senior membership, right.
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 I would be okay with that.
Yeah, would it make sense to maybe just say that one parent, one child is considered a family-type membership, so that whatever else follows will always be for that?
Well, the family, it's very
I think-
defined what is a family up here.
Right.
So
The
that's
reason
why.
why they singled that out is to make it different than family membership. So I think it should go in, be lumped in with the individual and the senior.
So if it's late, is it $75 or is it $100?
It's the same as the individual.
$50.
But that-
$50.
$50.
But those are $50 per individual? Or are those $50?
No, it's 50 because you're buying it as a parent and child.
One
So your fee is $50, not 50 times each of you.
And
Just
what if
50 for the
two
parent and child.
individuals put themselves on one form? Is that one $50 or is it two $50 under that?
Well, if you're an individual, then you buy it as an individual, and then you have a $50 late fee,
Can
correct?
I put two individuals in one form? I don't think so.
No, I think you
Okay.
have to either do a family, or you do an individual, or now you can do
Okay.
this
Or parent
parent and
and
child.
child.
One plus
So we're
one.
charging 50? You want to charge 75?
75 for the family membership.
And 50
And then-
for the individual or the
and
senior.
everybody else is essentially.
Exactly.
So this is going to be considered a 50? For
The parent and child will be
Okay.
a
Will be one
$50
unit?
late fee, basically,
Okay.
or late registration fee, yes.
So we're talking about like single parent with a child, one child.
Yep.
Is considered an individual.
Could be any
It doesn't,
parent.
they can be a
doesn't have
married
to be-
person, but
yeah.
it's just that one
member.
parent
Right.
joins
Need
with
non-family.
one child.
So that, okay.
Yeah. It's just another way for people to join the pool, just trying to provide options.
Yep.
To increase membership for the pool.
Yeah.
And then Linda, you had another one?
Yeah, go down B, let's say 2. This shows up a few places, because we're talking about fees, daily fees. And it says, for example, weekday, comma, child age 2 to 8, and then it has parentheses, under 48 inches, $10 to $19 per person. We're talking about the fees, so under 48 inches, to me, isn't relevant. It might be relevant if you're going down the water slide or something, there might be a certain height that you have to attain to
Right.
do that. But in terms of fees, I think you just take out this under 48 inches, because if you're 2 to 8, it's,
Right, and that's from the
Right.
old ordinance, that's not a new
So
thing,
old
but I
cleanup
think
stuff.
since we're revisiting the ordinance, we should probably clean up anything like that, so unless there's some opposition from anybody, from the administration or anybody, because that does seem
Yeah,
to
no,
not,
it makes sense, yeah, it
that
does.
doesn't really make a lot of sense there.
There was, actually, one was the opposite of the other, yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
so
the height requirement
all
is
the
more for
references
this
to
slide.
height where fees are concerned should be removed. There are a
So
couple of
that's
places where it's,
Two,
That's
number
2,
Yeah.
6,
yep,
8, I'm sorry, no, 9.
and 11.
Right.
11 came out.
Oh, that whole
so-
thing comes out, yeah.
Actually, 9
okay.
came out too, so we only have 2 and 6.
Yep,
Okay.
Right.
okay, and then you had one other question, I think, about is it 62 or over 62?
Oh,
62
well, it
and
says all
above?
residents over the age of 62. Does that mean they're 62 and old? I thought maybe put age 62 and older. So if you're all residents over the age of 62, is that?
And older.
Right, so is
forward, or is
62 and a day is
62
over
over.
62.
62 and older.
Right.
Okay, so really to make it clear, it should be 62 and over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so let's do that as well.
Sure.
And older.
Yeah, I think that's a great
Okay.
catch.
All right.
All right, and anything
Okay.
else, or does anybody else have anything on this? Could I have a motion to approve with the amendments?
It's you're introducing as amended.
Introducing, yes, thank you.
It's okay.
All right, well, since I guess we did it, we have the amendments, do we have to vote on the amendments? And then
Yes.
just?
You should vote to
Oh.
add those amendments.
All right,
All right, I'll make a motion to add those amendments.
thank you.
Second.
Okay,
Do we vote?
Gawaz?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Mandel?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Manzari?
yes,
Okay, now motion to
and now a
introduce
motion
as
to
amended.
introduce
All right,
as
motion to
amended.
introduce
As amended.
as amended.
And
Second?
a second?
Second.
Gawaz?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Mandel?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Manzara?
Yes.
Public hearing will be January 27th, 2020. 2020-02, an ordinance to amend the salary and wage plan for the Township of West Windsor and provide for the administration thereof firefighters/captains.
All right, any discussion on that? All right, a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Gawaz?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Mandel?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Public hearing, January 27th, 2020.
Okay, next one?
2020-03, an ordinance amending the redevelopment plan for the Princeton Junction by modifying the RP1 district.
Any discussion on that? Motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Gawaz?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Mandel?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Public hearing, January 27th, 2020. 2020-04, an ordinance to amend and supplement the Code of the Township of West Windsor, 1999, an ordinance amending the RP1 district standards.
Have a motion, please?
So moved?
Second?
Alwas?
Yes.
Chevers?
Yes.
Mandel?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Public hearing, January 27th, 2020. 2020-05, an ordinance to amend and supplement the Code of the Township of West Windsor, 1999, an ordinance adopting the Penn's Neck Business Commercial Redevelopment Plan.
Any discussion on that?
I did have a question for administration. I just wanted to make sure that the concept plan will be brought before the planning board, before there's a lot of technical review committee. I believe the mayor has said that, but I just did want a confirmation on that.
I'll have to follow up with the mayor. I was unaware that he had had that discussion with council. Jerry?
Jen?
Jerry? Or
As far as procedure for the Penn's Neck redevelopment, do we have assurance that the concept plan will come before the planning board before there's any major discussion before the technical review committee?
Can I tell you what Sam mentioned to me earlier? He said that the technical review committee will make sure that all of the paperwork is filed, and then it will go to the planning board for a concept review, and then it will go back to the TRC once everything, all the plans and everything have been submitted. Is that correct?
Exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
Okay, so I just wanted confirmation, because I know there's been some public discussion, so I just wanted to make sure that was going to happen.
Right, John, so we're introducing this ordinance, but, for example, one of the big issues is berming, protecting our residents, and that's an issue, okay? We want to protect them. So if there needs to be any changes along the way, how is that handled?
Well, once they file an application, we can't change the zoning ordinance to apply to them, because what's called the law of application applies, which is the zoning in place at the time the application applies to the application. But, obviously, there's going to be substantial opportunities before the technical review committee and the planning board to make sure that zoning is proper, all the other protections put in place to protect the neighborhood, as well as other pertinent site plan considerations.
Right. Well, the technical review committee isn't a public meeting, but
Right.
the hearings are concept plans that to come in, and there's no obligation that recommendations for an applicant that they have to follow what they're being asked to do, but sometimes they do agree to certain changes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of jawboning, as you well know, Linda, that goes on during these site plan review proceedings. And I would expect if the board and the staff is not satisfied with some of the things that the applicant was proposing, that it would recommend changing them. The board also has substantial powers in imposing conditions, basically to make sure that the goals of the zoning ordinance are in fact furthered. So we have that as well. And our experience, certainly over the years, is that developers would rather work with the board than work against the board.
Right.
And we found that at technical review committee as well, that they try to work with the technical review committee, because for them, time is money, and they want to get from point A to point B as quickly as they can, rather than getting in a fight with the township.
Right, and things such as hours of operation for businesses or whatever's going in there, is that done at the site plan?
Yeah, I mean, we, as you know, usually impose such conditions site plan.
Right, okay, all right.
Okay?
question.
Yes.
I would imagine a lot of this gets memorialized in a redevelopers agreement that then gets brought to the council, is that correct?
I'll defer to Kevin on that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the zoning regulations are codified in the redevelopment plan, and to the extent that there are characteristics or features in a project that the town cares about, we will attempt to incorporate that. We'll negotiate those with the redeveloper and attempt to incorporate them into a redevelopment agreement, which will come before council for approval by resolution.
So I think the question that Vice Council President Mandel had is there are several bites at the apple.
Okay. All right.
Okay, anything else? All right, could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Gawes?
Yes.
Jevers?
Yes.
Mandel? Yes. Stevens?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Public hearing, January 27th, 2020. 2020-06, an ordinance to amend and supplement the Code of the Township of West Windsor, 1999, creating a new Part 7 entitled Route 1 Penn's Neck Business Commercial Redevelopment Area, and amending the Code of West Windsor Township, 1999, to create a Route 1 Penn's Neck Business Commercial Redevelopment Zone.
All right, any questions on that? Comments? Motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Gawes?
Yes.
Jevers?
Yes.
Mandel?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Public hearing, January 27th, 2020, and also to make you aware that the township clerk has to notify all of the property owners within 200 feet, and that notice will be going out no later than this Wednesday, which will
Thank you.
include both ordinances.
All right, thank you very much, Gay.
Yep.
Additional public comment? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Jerry, just hold on. Just in case.
My name and address here.
State your name and your address, please.
Pamela Rubo, 6 Coventry Circle, Princeton Junction. I have a real issue with the fact that, one, we only have to notify residents of 200 feet within the redevelopment. The whole neighborhood is affected, and most of us weren't even informed this was happening until November. And we feel like this is getting steamrolled over us, and no consideration is being taken to the rest of the neighborhood. We all have property values, and none of you would like us to put a Wawa within a half mile of your house and into the entrance of your neighborhood. I'm sure you wouldn't. So I think it's ridiculous that you guys just stand up here and approve. We're gonna just keep pushing this forward and forward, and no residents, other than the ones right there on the line, have been spoken to, or even offered a meeting for the developer, the people that own it, to talk to about what we care about, how we want to see the neighborhood, or anything. There's many people in the neighborhood, besides the people right on the line, that this is going to affect. It's great you're going to talk to the people right on the line, but what about the rest of us?
Would you like to address that? Thank you.
Just to make it clear, as to what's happened tonight or what's going to happen. What's happened tonight is the ordinances, two related ordinances, they basically say the same thing, have been introduced. That doesn't mean they've been adopted. There's going to be a hearing on the 27th, Gay?
Yes, sorry.
At which the board, the council will consider adopting ordinances with or without amendments, and every member of the public that wishes to speak may speak on that. So all members of the public may be heard. Now, question is, why only within 200 feet are residents to be notified about this hearing? That's because municipal land use law says that that's what you have to do. Now, what we found in the past is that in cases where there's a change in the classification of a district or boundaries of a district, which is what this is all about, you have to serve the certified mail notice. Usually, you don't have to do that. It's just because there's a change in the nature of the district, you have to do that. And what we've always found is that the word certainly spreads through the affected neighborhood, and a lot of people come out. And there are certainly people, I take it in the ordinance, who are very concerned about this, and understandably so, and they should talk to their neighbors and make sure everybody comes out so they can present their point of view.
Okay, thank you.
No, that would be for the vote.
So we had public comment before and no one came up to speak. Then we voted just to introduce the ordinance. So what happens is that will go on the website, and then 2 weeks from now, when we have another council meeting, then we will have a discussion and a hearing, and anybody can come and speak before that as well, and then we can have a discussion up here, and then we vote. So people, and this has also been,
Speak before
and
you guys have your discussion. I just want to make sure we understand, because we're not public servants, we're not people that understand this process. So when you said, speak, I was like, what am I speaking on? I didn't even know what you guys were going to vote, what your discussion was going to be, so I didn't know what I was speaking on. It's not a fair process per se, for the rest of us, if we don't know how it works. And so, you can get disgusted or make your huff or whatever that you're up there, but this is my neighborhood. This is where I bought. This is not your neighborhood.
okay, I'm not disgusted, and I wasn't huffing. I was just taking a breath to try to compose my thoughts. So this has been discussed quite a few times in the past. I know it was before the planning board, correct?
Yes.
It was discussed here. So this has been in the public, being discussed many times. I'm sorry you didn't know about it. I know that we always follow the law with regard, okay, miss, I'm talking now, I did listen to you. So we always follow the law with regard to notifying everybody that needs to be notified. I do know that oftentimes that, as our attorney said, that does, the word does spread and people come out and speak. I did ask if anybody wanted to speak during public comment, and nobody came up. You do have I believe there are copies of the agenda in the back, so you can look and see what's going to happen throughout the evening. So I don't know what more we could do other than follow the procedure that we always follow. There will be another opportunity for you to speak. Anybody can speak now. Then in 2 weeks from now, people can come out and they can speak again before we vote. So, and I encourage you to come back, and I encourage you to bring whomever lives in your neighborhood and give us your feedback on this. Everybody up here has situations where something happens in their neighborhood. We get it. I live in a neighborhood where there happens to be a lot of action going on, and some of it I probably wouldn't pick, if it was only my decision. But there are a lot of moving parts and things going on, and, so we try to hear everybody out and take all of that into consideration before we make any votes or make any decisions. So absolutely come back in 2 weeks for the hearing. Bring people from your neighborhood who are interested and involved and want to give their feedback. We welcome everybody to come and speak, and I appreciate your comments.
And could I just add, just a point of clarification again? It's a two-part process. The first part is introduction of the ordinance, which is what happened tonight, and then the second is the hearing on the ordinance. It's the hearing on the ordinance which is critical. This is usually when the public comes, they're heard, and then the governing body makes a decision. In a lot of towns, the public isn't even allowed to speak at introduction, because it's almost pro forma usually. It's just to get the process started. It's not that you can look at this and say, oh, there's two hearings, so I've already gotten through the first hearing, they're halfway through, we're not halfway through, it's just started.
Thank you.
All right, Gay, has the redevelopment for Penn's Neck been?
It's all posted as part of your agenda packet on the website.
Right. Was it posted prior, do you know, or
It went up on Thursday night.
Thursday night? Okay.
Yep.
And it's still there?
Yes.
Right,
It
okay.
It won't come down. And anybody
there.
can contact the clerk's office, and I'll be glad to email it out to you at no charge. It's part of the process of having the public hearing.
Thank you. Ms. Wong?
So Yan-Mei Wang, 41 Montgomery Street. First, my sympathies is with residents that lives nearby the redevelopment area in Penn's Neck. So next time, when you want to make a comment about those ordinances, introductions, in next council meeting, make sure you comment in the public comment section before the meeting starts, right after the meeting starts. So I'm going to talk about the Martin Luther King Day event that's coming up in January 20th, which is an event that organized together by the Human Relations Council and the West Windsor Arts Center. I am a member of the West Windsor Human Relations Council. So last year we had a really successful event. I saw the council members has commented on that. we had more than 300 people attended. And this year, we stand in front of McCaffrey again for the past weekend, and in 2 days, we collected more than 500 pounds of food for children in our own school district from K to 6 that's on reduced meals, and we have more than 150 of them just in our own school district. And what usually happens is they have the reduced or free meals during the weekday. However, on weekends, they do not have any help. So those food items will be packed on the day, January 20th MLK Day event, and sent to those children in our own school district. And those amount of food we have collected should be able to feed those 150 children for 3 months of weekend food. So that is what's going on right now. And I want to make a little correction to what our council lady, Andrea Mandel, has said. If you have larger items, it is true that we have a little free pantry by the art center that we have established in November. But there's a problem with that is we have more donations to the pantry, and literally we do not have people taking items from it. So what we need to do right now is that the San Hunger Packing and the Human Relations Council, we're trying to really try to spread the word out to residents, which everybody, any residents in need to know about the little free pantry and use it. So if you have larger items, I would say hold on to it for now. Do not put it near the pantry for now until we have a better flow or exchange of material. So, okay, I'll look forward to seeing everybody on January 20th at the MLK Day event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Sarah Campbell, 13 Wallingford Drive. I'm also a Penns Neck resident, and I just wanted to echo Mrs. Rubo's sentiment that a lot of us who live a little further down feel like we have been kind of left out of the process. I found out about the November meeting right before it happened, and I was out of town at a business conference, so this is my first opportunity to come to one of these meetings about it. And I guess our next opportunity will be the 27th. And
That's
the
right,
meeting
yes.
we should come to, and we should plan to comment in advance. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. And I believe with the hearing, the public comment for that comes right when we talk about the hearing. That is the hearing, right? So people, so public comment will be for other things that night only, and then we'll have a special public comment just for this ordinance as part of that hearing. So typically, if you have something to say when you come to a council meeting, get up at the first public comment meeting and public comment period and speak. And then if you have something at the end, you can come up and speak again a second time. But when there's a hearing, we take public comment on that particular ordinance at that hearing time, so right when we talk about that ordinance. It's sort of separated from the regular public comment. Anybody else?
And those hearings are scheduled at the front of the agenda, not at the end of the agenda.
Right, thank you.
Hi, Jerome Keeler, 252 Varsity Avenue, talking to the people behind me while facing all of you. Just to let you know, I've been a little negligent in contacting people further up in the neighborhood, but a lot of people closer to the development in Penns Neck have already kind of dealt with, talking to the planning board and negotiating issues around this. So any of you in the audience who want to get involved, I'll talk to you, give you my email. And we are definitely having neighborhood interaction with the planning board. And, it started a long time ago, but we're just trying to do what we can. So be assured that that cooperation is happening. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak?
Gene O'Brien, 13 Green Drive, and I'm here now talking as chairman of the planning board. To you folks who haven't had a chance to sit down with me and talk about your issues, I am available to do so. Mr. Keeler and a couple of the other ladies in the room were part of meetings that we've had. I'm sorry that the word didn't get all the way down to the far end of the area, but I consider Penns Neck area to be all that between the Dignity Line embankment and Washington Road and west of the Northeast Corridor Rail Line and east of Route 1. So again, I would make myself available whenever it's mutually convenient. We have talked specific issues. In our most recent meeting this past Thursday night, we talked about the height of the embankment or the berm that's to be put in the 40-foot buffer area. And I had Mr. Dobromilski, our landscape architect, join the meeting, and he proposed and agreed with one of the participants that we could make the berm considerably higher and stay within the 40-foot width by putting a detention side facing the redeveloped area. We talked about having sidewalks on Varsity Avenue up to Wilder Avenue because of the young children in the neighborhood walking to the school bus stop. And I suggested that it would be reasonable for the planning board to make that a condition of approval if and when the application comes in. Mr. Mueller, sitting behind me, is the attorney for the planning board. If I am misspeaking, he will correct me, I'm sure. So again, I don't speak for the planning board, but as an experienced member of the planning board, I can address issues and explain to you what can be done. But I would reiterate, make sure you come out on the 27th if there are issues that have not been resolved. So I have a couple of my cards if anybody would like one. Feel free to call me at any reasonable hour. My mobile phone number is on there. I have a couple seconds left to say to Linda, the issue that you talked about, the noise and the berm, that was one of the things, as you just heard me say, that was addressed in the meeting the other night. I prepared a summary memo. I shared it with you folks in an email today, and that was only after I heard back from Mr. Keeler that he felt I fairly represented the issues that we had discussed. So, and Virginia, that's why it didn't go out before today. I wanted to get confirmation that what I had said in the memo
Great,
was
thank you.
agreeable.
No, I appreciate your efforts, Gene.
Well,
And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions, and that's fine. We're going to get them all
part of my
together,
job, I
the
think.
comments together, and we're going to work on it.
My
We're going to
high-paying
continue
job.
working on this. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Dorothy Holmes, 19 Wallingford Drive, and I apologize because I am coming late to the game. What I'm not clear on, are we saying that the discussion will now be on how it will happen, or is there still a chance that the Wawa is not going to happen?
Yeah, we don't know.
Well, no, but it's, but beyond that,
No.
nothing has been approved yet, in the sense, we have the ordinances, two parallel ordinances, which have been introduced, but unless and until they're adopted, the zoning that's in place now will remain the same, and we won't have that type of plan that you've seen, that we've been talking about.
Okay, so there is a chance that that may not happen at all. So it's not just a discussion of how big the burn will be or what? Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Kevin, did you want to say something as well?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
And Jared, after we've approved bringing this ordinance in 2 weeks, there will be a vote on basically what was said.
One way or another, yeah.
Right.
Maybe I will take this moment, if I may, just to add that the adoption of the redevelopment plan relates to the identification of uses that are permitted and bulk standards associated with those uses. While a Wawa has been the topic of discussion along the way, the adoption of the redevelopment plan does not necessarily mean it will be a Wawa, because after the adoption of the redevelopment plan, representatives of the township will negotiate with representatives of a proposed redeveloper about what the project will be. So that's what, as Ms. Schmidt indicated earlier about the multiple bites at the apple, even if on the 27th this council votes to adopt a redevelopment plan, it doesn't necessarily mean a particular use will be constructed on that site. There are still some things that need to happen and be discussed that will be brought back to council later for a separate approval, at which point there can be further discussion.
Thank you.
And there's 9 permitted principal uses,
Yes.
and any one of them could be in there. We don't know yet.
So if it's part of the non-permitted principal uses, there's not necessarily a reason to bring it back to council then?
Well, there will be a redevelopment agreement between the township and the identified redeveloper. That will come back to council.
Okay.
But if the negotiated project is one of the uses that's permitted in the redevelopment plan, there will be no need to amend the redevelopment plan. I just wanted to note that Wawa it's a fair question to be talking about, but it doesn't necessarily mean it will be that.
And just to reiterate, hopefully it's clear by now, if the redeveloper or the owner of the property or owners go through all these hoops, they get the ordinances are adopted, redevelopment agreement is negotiated and executed by the township and the redeveloper, you still got to go to the planning board with the site plan. The planning board's going to review it thoroughly, and as I emphasized earlier, developers try to work, experiences always been with the planning boards, and boards have a lot of power in terms of imposing reasonable conditions that further the zoning.
Thank you.
That's right.
Yes?
Hi, good evening. My name is Amy Woodward. I live at 262 Varsity Avenue, so my property is right next to the development, so I'm right at the line there. I do want to thank Mr. O'Brien and the Planning Board's efforts and the Council's efforts for hearing the concerns of the immediate neighborhood. And to my neighbors further back, we will definitely be reaching out in the next week so we can come together and talk about what's been discussed so far. I think in addition to the discussion that we recently had regarding the berm and the privacy issue for the neighborhood, as well as consideration of the access to this development from our neighborhood, one of the larger concerns that remains for us, especially living right next door, is if something like a Wawa or the gas station that is possibly proposed for that corner, which, yes, I know it is a gas station right now, but the hours of operation and having a business that's open 24 hours leading into a residential neighborhood is a huge concern for us, for safety, for security, for privacy issues. There is the Sunoco further up on Route 1 in Harrison that is open 24 hours, but there are no properties surrounding that area. The Wawa that's further down Route 1 on the northbound side in Lawrence, that also does close at a certain hour, so that is another huge concern for the neighbors that are directly there for our safety and our security. So thank you for your consideration.
Yeah, there was discussion at the planning board over that.
Right.
We'll see we'll just have to see if this gets approved, number one. It's a process. And then after that, then we start working on these issues, yeah.
Right. Oh, yes.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Russell, 8 Coventry Circle. First, just quickly, Jerome and Amy, you guys have tried really hard to bring everybody into it. I think any reaction is more just getting the information now versus July, when you all started dealing with it, maybe further back. So please, I think I can speak for everyone that I don't think your efforts have been less than they should have been, really, truly. So thank you for that. I would just say that, again, I think I spoke at the planning meeting before. I wasn't at the July meeting, I was at the November meeting, and at the November meeting, I think anyone who was a resident was truly shocked at how far along the discussions had gone in just one meeting. So what happens between, I guess, the planning board and the township and the lawyers and the developer, it's a little bit daunting for us to digest, and then to see how far along it is, even just listening to you tonight, ask your question about, once the ordinance is passed, then how much power do we have, meaning the council and the planning board? And even though I feel like there is negotiating power, it sounds like it's more, well, the developer wants it to work out, so of course they're going to work with you, but he doesn't have to make it different just because we thought of something afterwards. And I feel like once we pass this ordinance, we lose, at least that's my impression at this point, and I don't know if I'm just uneducated, we lose a lot of power to control this project, and it is moving really fast in the eyes of the residents. I mean, honest and truly, especially just thinking of Amy, who literally is going to have 100 yards or something crazy between her lovely residential property, which had 2 plots in front of it, is now going to be this giant berm and, lights and dumpsters and traffic. And it is a very quiet, historic neighborhood, and I would welcome any of you to come walk it. I know the mayor said he did, and he's still not thinking that this is a little bit of a giant step for this little neighborhood. I realize it's on Route 1, but in essence, it is a quiet neighborhood full of kids, full of strollers, full of dog walkers, and now this development is really going to change the fabric of it tremendously. And it's in possibly the worst trafficked area of West Windsor. I mean, and now, I mean, right now, I mean, that circle is a nightmare because of the Alexander Bridge closing, and I can't even imagine how a de-acceleration lane, which has been spoken of, could possibly mitigate what is going on there currently without even this giant gas station proposal. And it seems like this is what is going to happen. I mean, this is what the proposal was built around, and we can try to control it, and I beg you to try and control it, but it seems like all we're doing now is trying to chip away at what is going to happen, that we really don't have a say as residents to what happens to our neighborhood. And the fact that we bought in a residential neighborhood and bought because of the beautiful trees and the historic homes and the quiet nature has really just been turned on its head because of, I don't know what, you know, because of the taxing or the rateables or whatever the jargon is that would make this, I don't know. I mean, the idea that this could be a gateway to West Windsor, I'm sorry, I'm over time, is absurd. It is a Route 1 corridor with a terrible roundabout, and it just so happens that our lovely neighborhood is behind it. And I just beg you all to please think about all those factors and the lifestyle that is going to be completely upended, berm or no berm. And I am way back from this, and I just can't imagine if it was my house, Amy's house, and I don't even know your name. Sorry. I can't even imagine. I'm a little horrified at how this is all going, and that, honestly, the poor mayor's not even here, but when we've had discussions, he's like, I can't believe you'd want the burnt-out house and that disgusting gas station. Well, I'll take that over what is being proposed on this 6-acre property. I really, you know, it is frightening that, I mean, I've lived there for 18 years, and we've all had our kids grow up there, and it is completely disheartening that this discussion is so deep and how nonchalant it is being thrown around that this is a 16-pump, up to 5,000 square foot convenience store that is going to go in this spot with the lights and the traffic and the people and, you know, strangers wandering around somebody's neighborhood. I mean, that is really what is being proposed here. If it was a medical building that was 9 to 5, it was another ping pong place that was closed by 8 o'clock, I think we could have a discussion about it and it would make more sense to us. But this is, there's drive-through window restaurants that are in this ordinance or resolution, or I'm sorry, I'm not using the right jargon. These 9 things are quite scary to most of us, and I would really like a lot more discussion on it before we pass it, and then we really don't have control over what is going to happen here, because it feels like that is what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to say something?
If I may, Council President, I just wanted to add something about the process. So while I noted earlier that the redevelopment plan identifies the uses and the bulk standards and things like that, and then we will begin a process of negotiating with the redeveloper, or there will be a process of negotiating with the redeveloper, the township still retains a good deal of power during that negotiating process. It's different than merely adopting zoning provisions under the municipal land use law that the property owners can then directly go to the board for it. So there will be, I can't speak to any particular uses or bulk standards or anything like that, but the town does have the legal ability to negotiate things that are important to the town in that agreement with the redeveloper.
Thank you. Councilor?
Hi, sorry, can I speak again if no one else wants to go? Okay. It's
fine with me.
It's fast. Mr. Stevens,
Can you
welcome to the
state your
council.
name and?
Jerome Keeler, 252 Varsity Avenue.
Thank you.
Mr. Stevens, welcome to the council. From what I understand, you live kind of at the
I
back.
am in the neighborhood. I've lived there for 26 years.
Would you be willing to meet with a
Absolutely.
small group of people to discuss this?
Absolutely.
Give us
I've made
your
that offer
perspective?
before, and I'll make it again.
Okay. Sorry if I missed that.
Jerry, it's legally okay for us, now that we've introduced it, to meet with residents, that there's no, okay, that's all I want to know. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, as opposed, for example, to the planning board, which is, you have the full hearing process. This is a legislative body, so you're legislators, which give you,
Okay, just want to make
different
sure.
a different role and different set of powers. And do you want to add anything? Kevin?
Subject to Open Public Meetings Act limitations, yes.
Yes,
in
no
terms
more
of-
than two of you at a time,
Right, in
please.
in terms of quorum, right.
Right. And I will also say that, I mean, several of us have either served on the planning board or the zoning board. We always looked for residents to come out and give us their opinion and their perspective based on whatever it was that was before, the board. So don't think that we, are sitting up in some tower somewhere and sort of, deciding things for everybody and laughing maniacally or whatever. We're residents too. We have been in your shoes in the past, for, probably all of us at some point in time, Mike right now, as a member of your neighborhood, but also, being members of various boards, we also see it from the other side, and we really do appreciate when the residents come out and say, well, you might not have thought about this, and this is how the traffic flows, and this is what, how we use the property, and this is whatever. It does give us more information. We have to balance that out with all of the information that we have, but just know that we welcome that, and, definitely come back next meeting, and if you want to meet with anybody, feel free to reach out to us, and so.
Yeah, maybe if there's a group meeting with, Gene O'Brien, planning board chair, I certainly could make myself available. We just can't have 3 council members, that's a quorum, so
Right.
that we cannot do.
And we have,
Available.
I know I've mentioned walking through the neighborhood. When I was on the planning board, I did walk through the neighborhood before we had several of our votes on my own. So Gallus and I took another walk through the neighborhood just this morning, around the whole thing, taking a look at it. So we do want to be very familiar with what we're voting on. There's no ivory tower here. We've all lived here a long time. Jerry, and is there anything we could be doing to further protect before we vote on this? I know you've said a lot of the things are, and I've been involved, and as you know, I've been on the planning board for a couple of years, and I've been involved with a lot of the jawboning and the trying to get somebody to change and add something. Is there anything more we should be doing before we vote that would help that?
Well, if there's any particular issues that you really think need further explanation and exploration, you could certainly reach out to staff and ask the professional staff to provide you with memoranda, which kind of explains both sides of the issue and maybe their opinion on it. Turn that over to Kevin.
Yeah, I would add that I know from my involvement in this that there has been quite a lot of discussion about the particulars of the redevelopment plan going back many, many, many months. I realize that there are particular residents who are here tonight who weren't involved in that. There has been quite a bit of dialogue going on between township staff members, the owner of the property, some of the residents in the area. I recognize Mr. Keeler from the earlier meetings, and I believe he was an active participant in some measure of dialogue with the property owners and all that. So there definitely has been quite a bit of dialogue already going on. And so to the extent that your question is, what more could you do? Literally, the sky could be the limit, and you could debate something for quite a long period of time, or you could just blindly vote, and without really considering anything, you're at least somewhere in between those two extreme poles, right? So what more you could do, it's just totally up to you how you do it. I think the notion that between today and 2 weeks from today, there will be, I believe, from just the last half hour of talk, a number of discussions going on between a variety of different people representing different interest groups, and that's, I think, a good thing. Come the 27th, I believe there will have been quite a lot of additional discussion about this matter.
Thank you.
Right, okay.
I'm Katie Gallagher, 2 Fieldston. To that question, actually, that was exactly what I was going to say. If, like, everybody in my neighborhood disagrees with this ordinance, as our elected officials, what are you prepared to?
We can't answer that.
You can, I know, well, I mean, what would be the next step? Like, that's,
Well,
I think
we
that's
have
a
the hearing.
significant.
Right, I know what you mean. We
Number
can't do
of
what
people-
ifs. We have the hearing, okay, the ordinance, all the information is on the township website, and if you need a hard copy, the clerk offered earlier to get a hard copy to anyone that wants it. So we have to go through the official public process of the hearing. So you can ask any questions, any comments, whatever. That's the night to do it.
You had asked what you could do, and I'm saying, I'll walk around my neighborhood. I'll get signatures from everybody. Not one person in my neighborhood is happy about this, not one. Everybody, every single person I spoke to is adamant and upset. And so, I mean, I think that's a significant, that's something that could be done. I'll walk around, I'll get signatures, I'll hand them over. Or you could, like you said, you would walk around the neighborhood and ask questions. I mean, nobody came to me, nobody came to my house, nobody came anywhere other than like the first couple houses. You know, fine, I get you don't have to. But that was your question just now. That is something that could be done. And I think everyone would appreciate that. Maybe a chance to say, hey, like, does my say mean anything?
Well, one of the things that I think might be helpful is if there are specific issues, specific questions, concerns, if we can sort of get a feel for all of those and then have those addressed by the various professionals in the township. I think that would be helpful. Because some things may be based on misunderstanding, where others could be, very serious concerns that we could address by making a change, and probably a lot of things in between there. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Absolutely.
I think that sounds like exactly what I envision will be happening over the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right. Because you can take all of that feedback to the owner of the property, and see what their thoughts are, too.
So I kind of get the idea that the gas station is probably one of the major issues here, and the 16-bay gas station in particular. I don't know if the amendment, if the ordinance as it stands says up to 16, do we have a say if they come in with 16? Can we say, no, make it 12, make it 6, or I guess, which is about what it's at now.
Or perhaps the hours of operation as well.
Right, so I just question if we were able to say for sure this is what we're asking for, is that something that would make people feel better? That they're not going to force something that nobody wants? Or is that something we have to leave to discussion later?
But by they, are you speaking about the potential redeveloper?
Well, by they, I'm saying you've got people who are concerned about what's going on in the neighborhood. We have a ordinance that we have that has certain limits. Are those the proper limits? And if they aren't, it's much harder to change them after. That's all I'm saying. Something to think about.
And that's certainly absolutely true. And it seems to me as part of this interactive process to get feedback from the neighbors as to, are there any parts of this conceived program that you like, that you think will work, that you think will improve the neighborhood? And are there components that you really think are horrible? We've certainly heard about components that some neighbors, at least, maybe all of them, think are horrible. But it doesn't have to be throwing out the baby with the bathwater. It might be that there are parts of it that would really work very well for the community and for the neighborhood. So I think that should be part of the discussion.
Okay. Sir?
My name is Matthew Thomas. I live at 197 Varsity Avenue. I have pretty much all the same concerns that my neighbors here have raised. If I put all those aside for a minute, I look at this project, I think we all can agree that stretch of Route 1, it's already been mentioned, is a very busy stretch of Route 1. In fact, it's like the biggest bottleneck on all of Route 1 between Lawrenceville and South Brunswick. Is there some type of traffic study that's been done if we're going to draw more traffic into this very small spot? Like, does that make a whole lot of sense when you can't, and it takes 3 hours to drive, not 3 hours, but it takes an excessive amount of time to drive down Route 1 during rush hour?
Marlena, would you like to address that issue of Route 1, the congestion right there in that spot? Is there somebody else who's better to address that?
DOT plans.
The DOT.
I really don't have the latest status on that.
Okay.
That's something that I think is more appropriate for the township engineer to address. And again, I don't know what traffic studies have been done that may have been considered by the planning board with this particular redevelopment area. But it's a very complicated issue. I know Princeton University is eager to see something done with that intersection, as is the township. A lot of it depends, unfortunately, on whether or not the legislature and/or governor will appropriate the necessary funding to make those improvements. And if land acquisition is involved from private property owners, you all know that that takes a fair amount of time to accomplish. So I think it's down the road before major changes get seen.
The general plan is to make that area of the highway wider, but that is not within our control. That's a state, US 1 is state road, and so they pretty much dictate what and when happens there.
So that's the part I don't get about all this. When I look at the plan, and I haven't measured it, but I know people running around there, I know this, the scale we're talking about. If they're going to widen Route 1, and then we're going to create a 40-foot embankment on it, like how much property is left to even do anything with, to put parking and whatever else you need for all this? It seems like we're shoehorning this in just because there's some land between Route 1 and a neighborhood that's not being maximized for, use, I guess. But it just doesn't, it seems like there's a lot more to be lost than gained by adding this from my perspective, looking at all of that.
Jerry, these are site plan issues. If you had a concept plan, maybe we would know what is going on, and then some of these issues would be addressed. We don't know that. We don't even have anything approved right now.
Yeah.
So we're going through, but all those things, the getting in, getting out, all of that, those are, a lot of those questions are very good, but they're site plan issues. That has to be engineered, and that comes before us. I would assume, the state, DOT, it's a state highway, Route 1.
Right. I mean, traffic studies can and really should be done at two different stages of zoning. One is certainly at the site plan stage. You need a traffic study mainly for ingress and egress, off-site improvements, et cetera. But it's generally advisable when you're doing a land use element for a master plan, for example, making zoning changes, to have a handle on what the traffic implications for that. Can the rezoning be handled by the existing infrastructure, roadway infrastructure? If not, what kind of improvements do you need? So I think those are all legitimate questions that were raised. And what makes this particularly complex is the whole issue of US Route 1 and DOT.
The other thing I'd like to add is that my understanding is any proposed change in use or development or repurposing of the use along a state highway does require DOT approval as well. So nothing's a done deal.
No. And the process takes years.
If I can add one more thing too, I'm not the planner. The planner who did draft this isn't here tonight, but my understanding is that some of the setback requirements and buffer requirements and other types of requirements that are set forth in this redevelopment plan accounted for the potential for the road widening that was expected to be undertaken by the DOT. So to echo what Mr. Mueller said a couple minutes ago or a moment ago, was that when this goes before the planning board for site plan approval, the normal traffic issues that are explored by planning boards will be explored. Even though this is a redevelopment project, the site plan approval process is the same. So those kinds of issues will be explored, and to a certain extent at least, the proposed redevelopment plan did take into account some of the potential traffic issues, building proximity to each other, proximity of the building to US Route 1, buffer requirements and things like that.
Thank you.
Hello, Amy Woodward, 262 Varsity Avenue. Just to add to what you're saying, the impact on Route 1, not only is that a huge factor for traffic, but also on Washington Road. So I believe that that's a county road, and I imagine anyone coming in or coming out of that development to try to make a left-hand turn onto Washington. I mean, has there been studies done there? Because that's also a very dangerous and very congested single lane, entrance into that neighborhood through Washington Road. So that's another huge impact on the neighborhood. So then all of this traffic is now going to back up Washington even further, and then that's going to expand into our neighborhood. So if Varsity is a one-way ingress into this development, then you're going to have people cutting through to not want to sit on the traffic in Washington who are now going to be speeding. And I can count the number of times every night that cars come speeding down my street to eliminate the traffic at the Route 1 circle there at Washington. So, I mean, that all of this traffic and the congestion in the neighborhood is another huge safety concern on top of what goes there in their hours of operation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else on council have any comments? Okay.
Oh, I have one, sorry. Pamela Rubo, 6 Coventry Circle. I have a question about crime. Like, this is going to put more crime. We've already had people coming off of Route 1 onto Varsity, stealing cars and breaking into cars. Recently, putting more businesses there is going to pull in more crime. Are we prepared to, put more patrols in the neighborhoods that we don't have and pay for more, police on that area to make sure that these things don't happen? Is something, I don't know, I don't even know if that's part of what you guys approve or not approve or how that works. But, crime is a big issue for us. I mean, we just had a whole big thing in our neighborhood. So it's important.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. O'Brien?
Gene O'Brien, 13 Green Drive. In the meetings that we've already had, we've agreed that Varsity Avenue should not be used for egress or leaving the proposed redevelopment area. The question on the table is whether it should be blocked off totally at the border boundary between the residences and the redevelopment. I personally recommend that you consider leaving it open for ingress so that you won't have to go some ridiculously circuitous route to get into this complex. There's going to be a bank, there's going to be a medical service facility. There are going to be services there that the neighborhood may very likely want to benefit from. So that should be kept as an open-minded. But I'm told that in meetings that were held by with Jerome and some of the other neighbors, the proposed redeveloper has already agreed that he has no reason to insist on keeping it open for leaving that proposed area. So it's either going to be in only, or it's going to be closed completely, just like the adjoining street is closed that way. What is it? Yes. So, again, I'm available to spend hours talking about this, whereas you don't get as much interaction right now with the folks on the dais. So, and I'm not speaking for them, but I think I know some of the answers to the questions that you guys have.
Thank you. I need your card. My name's Lee Goldberg. I'm a resident of Mather Avenue. I was going to leave this topic until a more suitable time, but since you addressed it, I really do want to talk about the fact that I believe completely cutting off our neighborhood from Route 1 on egress, not on ingress, will be a disaster. I've been a commuter occasionally. I work at home right now, but I know I would get up half an hour earlier than I needed to just to be able to not spend 15 minutes waiting to get onto the hell that they call Washington Road, and that cutting us off completely at some point or another will make the neighborhood untenable for anybody who does anything other than stay in the neighborhood between about 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning and about 6 o'clock at night. Because as you know, Washington Road is, I do believe I'm not very smart about these things. I think there are people smarter than me have raised a number of ways to keep traffic one way. I believe if we were open to them, we could have a neighborhood that could enjoy the benefits, whatever, the dubious benefits of whatever development goes on out there, and without becoming a landlocked community, for all the people, whether you're shopping, commuting, or whatever else. I'll shut up, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
I'm willing to I'm open to discuss. I understand the fear, I understand the concerns, but I also think, I have it on my street, I'm on Mather, and I think if you want to close off Varsity, fine. I'll shut up, I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
That's it.
So we're done? All right.
Close the public comment.
You
have to close the public comments.
We don't need a motion to close public comment, do we? Okay.
I think we did.
All right, so council reports. Mike, would you like to start? Oh, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Drive safe.
The Recreation Commission had its reorganization meeting for 2020 on Wednesday of this week, or last week, and David Lichtenstein is the new chairperson, and Sue Levine is the new vice chairperson for the Recreation Group. And they've also asked me to announce that the dad-daughter dance tickets are now on sale, and they have very limited availability. And there are 2 dance dates that are available, Friday, February 21st, or Friday, March 6th.
Thank you. I just want to thanks everybody for coming. All right, Andrea?
The Environmental Commission met on Thursday. Larry Katz is going to remain the chair. He's been reappointed by the mayor. And Fran Bukes was elected as vice chair. They discussed the mayor's requested program to educate both the residents and businesses about the environmental advantages of using reusable bags in shopping, and they spent some time sourcing the bags and discussing getting grant money or bag donations for the program. I'd also like to announce that Greenfest will be held again this year on March 14th. It'll be at Rider University again. Everybody's invited. It's a wonderful free event it's held with the Mercer County Sustainability Coalition, of which we are a member. We have a table at the event. It's large. There's usually about 1,000 to 1,200 people come, and it's good for people of all ages. So I hope everybody shows up. Thanks.
Thank you. Linda?
The planning board met on January 8th. The first part of the meeting was the annual reorganization meeting. Gene O'Brien was unanimously re-elected as chair, and Michael Karp was unanimously re-elected as vice chair. Alan Schechtel will again be the board's liaison to the Affordable Housing Committee. Affordable Housing Committee is not meeting in January. The next meeting is February 6th. Planning Board also approved an application for an at-home retail store. The renovations will be done in the former Sam's Club building in Nassau Park. They will be selling patio furniture, seasonal items, bedding, wall art lamps, things of that nature. This Wednesday, the trustees of the Princeton University will present the university's general development plan. That, I believe, is on the, Gaze, that's on the municipal website, the Princeton University GDP? Not sure, okay. Yes, okay, Chair is saying yes. Yes, it is. So if that's something that interests you, it is on the municipal webpage. Let's see, February 12th, 7 p.m., the Planning Board will conduct a public hearing on the adoption of the land use element and the, quote, relationship to other plans of the Township Master Plan. Information is on the front page of the municipal website. So if you're interested in a lot of projects coming in and the master plan, keep an eye on the Planning Board's schedule, because there's a lot going on this year. We're busy, but you're all welcome to come, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Sonia?
Board of Education had their reorganization meeting for 2020 on January 7th. Louisa Hogue, Raylan McCune were sworn in from Westminster, and Robin Zovic from Plainsboro. Martin Whitfield is the liaison to the council. Had a chance to meet with Parking Authority on January 8th.
They had a really very good year last year. They're continuing to working and improving the station, adding more security cameras throughout the parking lot, so, making it safer. One of the areas they're looking to see how to improve is the exit from the one lot where you can't make left by the circle. So how to stop the illegal turns that's happening over there, a lot is happening over there, so to see how that can be changed. So they're looking into that. This past year, Parking Authority wrote 8,000 tickets. That's a large number.
Wow.
Of tickets were written. Illegal parking is the biggest culprit. Parking Authority urges everyone to take advantage of their ACH deposit for the permits, so to avoid late fees, because that's another big portion of their time goes to reaching out to residents to pay for their permits, and then late fees. So they urge residents to use the facility that they provide. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Administration?
Nothing.
Okay, I don't believe we have a need for a closed session. All right, so we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.